Over the last years, I've had the opportunity to work with and observe thousands of traders. And it's become very obvious what separates the unsuccessful, inconsistent trader from the successful, consistently profitable trader. And what I wanted to do in today's video is give you 3 actionable insights on what differentiates the unsuccessful from the successful. And I want to give you these 3 insights on what makes the mindset of a top 1% trader. So you can take them, you can implement them into your trading, and you can start emulating the mindsets of the best traders out there. So without further ado, let's get into this masterclass. Now, the first mindset of the top 1% of traders out there is they're implementing process-based thinking. And they make decisions based on their trading plan. And this, from all my observations and studies of traders, has been the biggest difference that I've seen in the mindset of the unsuccessful versus the successful. Majority of traders make decisions based on what they think is going to happen in the markets. They're caught up in what I call the virtual market in their own head. They've painted a picture of what they think the outcome of a trade is going to be, how much money they're going to make from it, how much status they're going to get from it, how much funding they're going to get, that new car, that apartment, whatever it may be. They're caught up in their own head. They're caught up in their fantasies and the virtual market in their head. And what they start to do is they start to trade based on what they think in their own head, as opposed to being actually truly present with the market and making decisions based on what the market's trying to communicate to them. Whereas the top 1% of traders, they're not thinking about what they think is going to happen next. They're not creating fantasies in the virtual market in their head. They're very present and they're very curious about what the market's going to do next. And what they do is they listen very, very well to the market, and they pay attention to what the market's trying to communicate to them, the risks and the insights that the market's trying to communicate. And because they're not caught up in their own head, they have this ability to observe the market in a neutral way, in an objective way. And when the market presents opportunities that align with their trading plan, when the market shows its hand and it shows that it's aligning in a way that's in alignment with that trader's trading plan, they then make decisions. See, that's very, very different to a trader who has an idea and they force that idea into the market. The market's never wrong, and the market always has to be respected. So this is why ultimately the top 1% of traders succeed, is because they're listening to what the market's trying to communicate, and they make decisions when the market presents the opportunities. So prior to trades, the top 1% of traders, they're removing any expectations in the outcome. They have this constant thought process in their head that, hey, listen, nobody has any idea of what's going to happen next. So me forcing this idea onto the market is really unrealistic. And just because this happened in the past doesn't mean it's going to happen again in the future. So me forcing this idea onto the market, it's unrealistic. I can't really predict what's going to happen next. But the market's presented an opportunity that aligns with my trading plan. I'm going to take that irrespective of what the outcome is. I knew that was a good trade because it aligned with my trading plan. That's really the thought process of the top 1% of traders. Whereas the amateur trader, the bottom 99% of traders, what they're thinking is, oh, this looks like it's going up. I'm going to get into this position, right? That's very much a different thought process to the process-based thinking. So the top 1% of traders are implementing process-based thinking. They're making decisions that are in alignment with their trading plan. And they have this focus of adhering to their trading plan. When they do end-of-month review, one of the biggest questions they're asking themselves is, what was my stickability to my trading plan this month? How much did I actually adhere to my trading plan and to my processes? And maybe it was 95%. Then they're asking, all right, that 5% I deviated from my trading plan. Why was that? Why did I deviate from my trading plan? And they're uncovering the reasons why and the mindset why, and they're doing whatever they can to mitigate that and to put things in place to ensure they stick to their trading plan and they implement process-based thinking. Now, what I've done is I've created this free tool called the Bulletproof Your Mindset Tool. It's now 2.0 because I've updated it recently, but this tool will help you ground any outcome-based expectations and will help you be present with the market and stick to your trading plan. It's going to help lower your negative emotions. It's going to help increase consistent profitability because now you're just sticking to your trading plan. It's going to help you scale up with funding as well. And this tool has been built modeling the best traders I've worked with. I had the opportunity to observe a lot of them. So what I wanted to do was create a tool that would mimic and emulate the thought process of the best traders out there. And if you stick to this tool and you implement it, you're going to start modeling the mindset of the best traders out there. Now, the second mindset of top 1% of traders, they're implementing a longer term thinking. They're not focused on the individual outcome of a trade. And they don't judge the individual outcome as good or bad, loss or win. You see, a lot of traders, what they do is they say, on this individual trade, I took a win. I'm very happy, and they start to puff themselves up. And they go into greed. And what happens when they're in greed is they think they're invincible in the market. And they start projecting onto the market. They start forcing ideas onto the market. And the market's never wrong, so these traders ultimately get humbled. And they go through what is called the boom and bust cycle. And that repeats. Whereas the consistently profitable top 1% of traders, they don't get caught up in the outcome of an individual trade. They're not labeling it good or bad. So what happens is they just stick to their trading plan. They stick to their edge. And they can start to build a linear or an exponential equity curve because they're not getting caught up in the volatilities of up and down after each individual trade. They're just going back to their trading plan. They're adhering to it. So trading isn't about the individual outcome. It's not about the outcome of an individual trade. It really doesn't matter if you won or lost that trade. What matters is you adhering to your trading plan. You see, your trading plan is developed based on an edge. You go and backtest an edge. You backtest maybe 1,000 trades over the last 5 years. And then you see that your edge plays out more than not, and you put that edge into a trading plan. If you then go and trade the market and you judge your edge good or bad after one trade, it doesn't make any sense because that edge was developed over 1,000 trades. So you have to start to mimic that same thought process that you had when you're backtesting, when you trade in the real life market, and you realize that it's not about the outcome of an individual trade. Rather, it's about the outcome of 1,000 trades. And if you're implementing the first process-based thinking mindset tool that I mentioned before, you're going to significantly increase the probability of starting to think longer term and not getting caught up about the outcome of an individual trade. You'll have this carefree attitude. I don't really care about the outcome of this trade. What I care about is me sticking to my trading plan because I know if I do that over the next 1,000 trades, I'm going to be profitable based on my edge. It's about the outcome of a larger sample space, and this is the mindset of the top 1% of traders. They focus on 100 trades, 1,000 trades rather than one trade, and they put this one trade in context. They don't get really happy about this one trade because they realize that this one trade may be paying for losses in the past or paying for losses in the future. It averages out, and they don't get very sad about this one loss because they realize that in context of a larger sample space, it's just part of an edge. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but if you stick to your trading plan over that larger sample space, you're going to end up profitable. Okay? And the last mindset of the top 1% of traders is they implement negative thinking. Okay? This may be slightly counterintuitive to how a lot of people are promoted to speak out there and to think out there. But there was a recent situation with, some of the prop firms going under, and a lot of traders were vulnerable to that. They lost a lot of funding because they had a lot of money with one prop firm. And you can go back to old interviews on my YouTube channel. I've been talking about this for a very, very long time. I mentioned that the best traders out there, they're always aware of what could go wrong. What are the negatives? What are the risks? What are the disservices about this thing that everybody's calling all positive? There's no such thing as an all positive thing. There's always benefit and drawback. There's always reward and risk. You have to be aware of both sides of the equation, and you want to be planning and preparing for everything that could go wrong. So the top 1% of traders are aware that things could go wrong. They're aware of those things, and they plan and prepare for each of those things that could go wrong. So the best traders I knew, they may have lost, $100,000 when that prop firm went under, but they had $1 million diversified across multiple prop firms. So relatively speaking, that 100,000 was, only 10% of their overall stack. Not that big of a deal in context, okay? But if you were putting all your eggs in one basket and you weren't aware of the risks and drawbacks of prop firms, and you were vulnerable to being caught out in a situation like that, okay? So the best traders are always aware of the risks and the negatives and what could go wrong, and they actively are putting things in place to mitigate those risks and disservices, to mitigate them. This is the mindset of the top 1% of traders. They're using process-based thinking, they're thinking longer term, and they're aware of both sides of the equation. They're using negative thinking to make themselves aware of what could go wrong, and they're planning and preparing for those things. Now, if you found this useful, please like, comment, and subscribe, and share these videos with your trading friends and in your trading communities. Let's get this information out there. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.